WSOU 89.5 FM. I'm Valentino.
And I'm Katherine.
And today we are joined with Thrasher from Escape the Fate. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. I'm signing CDs today, getting ready for this album release, basically.
Awesome. Yeah, no, that's coming up. Chemical Warfare. How do you feel about the record being dropped in a few months?
Super stoked, which was being dropped today, but we've got to wait a few months still. Yeah, I'm really proud of this record. I can't wait for everyone to hear it.
Definitely. Now, again, it was supposed to be dropped today. I know that it was in February. The release date was pushed back to April. Do you have any insight on why that delay happened?
Basically, I guess the pandemic slowed things down, maybe a little label decisions, and the fact that we have the song Invincible hitting radio. So I think just holding off on that to just give these songs a little bit more life.
Yeah, and speaking of the pandemic, how did that kind of change your writing and your producing process? Was it a little bit difficult for the band to communicate?
Yeah, it definitely changed that a little bit. Fortunately, we kind of got in right before the pandemic started. So we were in like last December, and we started the record with John Feldman and I producing together. And then it turned into us bringing in Travis Barker to play on a few songs, which he's featured on Not My Problem.
How was that? Because John Feldman has worked with you guys in the past. Has that relationship changed, especially since you're a co-producer? You've produced a ton of stuff for Escape the Fate and other artists. Has that process changed at all throughout those years?
Yes, it has, but I think just in a positive way. We came in, it was just really great energy. He really came in clutch as a songwriter. But I think it was working with John Feldman was just such a smooth, easy process. It was amazing. And I think the fact that I was bringing a lot to the table as a producer and songwriter myself, it just made his job easier, and we were able to just focus on getting the best songs we could.
Definitely. And again, we talked a little bit about the pandemic and how that has obviously affected the album rollout process and all of that. One of the things I really want to ask you about, a lot of bands were cut short from a tour. They had tours planned. Escape the Fate was actually able to finish their full tour from January until March, right before the pandemic hit. How does it feel to be one of the few bands that actually got to complete something before everything shut down?
Yeah, I always tell people that's so crazy. We toured up to the moment of a pandemic. I got home and I was working with this band called Islander, and we did a cover of It's the End of the World because the pandemic was starting. And it was just a trip. And I think we all probably got COVID on that tour, because I remember our photographer who slept above me in the bus was just coughing the entire tour and was just sick the entire time. And I got a cold or a flu, feeling that I was kind of stuck in my bunk for a day or two, even though I was still getting up to play shows. And I'm like, I wonder if we all got COVID on that tour.
Now, when you were performing, obviously, if you're sick and you have to perform, it's really, really difficult. I'm sure with something as strong as this, how was that experience?
Yeah, I mean, I've gotten pretty sick on the road, and we just keep on grinding. We don't even think twice about it.
I love it. And now another thing I wanted to discuss, kind of a little bit about the new record. The very first single that you dropped was Walk On, and that was released in August, obviously for the movie. That was a really cool first single to drop. A lot of people wouldn't expect kind of a ballad type of song to be that opening to the record. What went into choosing that song for the first single?
Yeah, I was kind of worried about that being the first look of the record, because we had not released music in a while, and our fans are so polarized, where half want the heaviest records possible and the other half want our songs that are just really catchy. And I don't know, it's kind of, I guess it was just so fitting for the movie release that it kind of worked out that way. We didn't really have too much of a say for it, and it actually was a really positive record that came out. So it felt good to release that one first.
Yeah, and speaking of movie releases, the single that you released, Invincible, which features Lindsey Sterling, and that's going to be featured in a horror film called The Retaliators. What's that like to have your song featured on an upcoming movie?
Oh, absolutely stoked. That's like a bucket list goal of mine, is definitely to have my music being played in a movie to help tell the story of something through the songs. So we're just like stoked on it, and we were able to get a really cool music video from the director of the movie, which he absolutely knocked the music video out of the park.
Exactly. And I know that with that song in particular, obviously you have a feature. You guys haven't really had like barely any features on pretty much most of your records in your discography. But on this new record, obviously you have the new Travis Barker feature, you have Invincible. How is it to kind of start collaborating with artists on this front?
Man, I love it. I work in like the pop and rap world a lot, and they're always collabing, and it just helps bring more fan bases to the songs. It's just like, you know, why not be a community and work together rather than just be like, this is my band, no one else gets to be a part of it. It's like on live shows, for example, Craig will just bring random people on stage to sing with us, and it's like, in the studio we sometimes write with other people to get other flavors in there and other inspirations, and it's like, why not have a great artist feature with us? It's very common in like the pop world though to just have collabs and features, and I feel like the rock world for some reason doesn't have that sort of thing. But I think it just helps shine a brighter audience. Like Travis Barker's fan base were able to, really dive into Escape the Fate, which actually has some deep roots in the new scene out there, where Juice WRLD was a big Escape the Fate fan, and a lot of younger kids are learning about Escape the Fate through Juice, actually.
Wow. And I know that you're right in the sense that rock is very, very like it's almost taboo to have a feature, and it really shouldn't be that way.
Exactly, yeah. Unless it's like, I don't know. I guess Aerosmith was doing it with Run DMC, which was kind of tight.
Yeah, it's great. And then you're speaking of all these collaborations, and you and Travis Barker have obviously collaborated, but you're also credited on the MGK album, which has taken the rock world by storm. What are your thoughts on that, and what was that process like?
Man, that was so dope. I was doing double duty. I was doing the Escape the Fate record and the MGK record at the same time. So I was like not sleeping, which I'm still not sleeping. But it was just dope to bring those influences in. I came in and I was just kind of influenced by them. And then I think I was bringing in like a whole other energy, because I'm just not your like stereotypical engineer. Like I'll come in and I'll like pick up guitars, so I'll run in the vocal booth and sing harmonies, and I really get intense with it, and you know um, so I think it was just a great energy, and I'm just stoked to be a part of that project. I'm stoked to be a part of the upcoming MGK follow-up record that we've been working on, and then also another big news is Trippie Redd's record, which I was able to record that entire thing with Travis Barker and mix and produce that entire rock album by Trippie Redd, which has a song by MGK and Black Bear on it, which starts the record out.
Now, again, obviously, like, you have such an incredible producing career as well as, a guitar playing and songwriting career. How is it when you're producing kind of your own albums, your own work, versus you're producing someone else's work?
It's definitely easier to work on other artists' records when, as soon as it comes time to like do an Escape the Fate record, or, some of my solo stuff, it's like, it's so easy to overthink your ideas and be like, oh my God, I've heard this riff before. I need to, make it better, which is kind of like why with Escape the Fate, we like still working with outside producers just to kind of like rein in the craziness and almost like manage the band, because there's like 4 really strong personalities in the band. So it's like, yeah. And then for me, it's always nice to like learn from other producers, but yeah, it's kind of easier just to work on other records.
Yeah. it makes sense because you're not as like attached to it. I mean, obviously you're attached to it, but like, you know, you didn't spend hours writing that guitar riff or that guitar lick. So you can have a little bit more objectivity with it.
Exactly. Yeah.
So now kind of backtracking a bit, I know you mentioned obviously you worked with Travis Barker on the new MGK record, and Travis Barker is featured on the brand new single, Not My Problem. Did that kind of bleed through with the MGK record, or did you write Not My Problem before you even started working with?
Yeah, Not My Problem was written before that, but there were a couple of songs that like there's a song called Hand Grenade, which is kind of like, I think, oh my God, I'm like the worst band member because I don't even know if it's on this. Yeah, it's number 9. Okay, it made the record. There's a song called Hand Grenade that Travis also played on, which kind of has a more pop punk feel to it. And I feel like that was kind of influenced by that MGK record. And we actually released a Christmas song at the end of last year. And that was just a straight pop punk song, which is kind of fun to do.
Yeah.
Which I think that's influenced by that world a lot.
Now, with this new record, obviously every Escape to Fate record sounds like Escape to Fate, but it takes on a new personality. Do you think this record is going to have a more pop punk tinge to it? What kind of overarching tone do you think this record is going to sound like?
I think so. I think just vocally, Feldman's always the guy that's pushing the singer to sing higher than his range is even capable of, or you think. And, you know, Craig's vocals are super bright, in your face, big anthemic choruses. So I think it's just a really strong record all around. And I'm excited. Honestly, I haven't listened to it in months because I went crazy deep into our own record and every single detail accounted for before handing it into the record label. And then I just listened to the songs every single day. And now, like, if I were to continue listening to it on release day, it wouldn't feel like a new record. And I'm trying to like get that feeling of listening to it for the first time when it comes out.
Exactly. And I know I've talked to a few artists that have released records in 2021 and 2020. And it's always fascinating to hear how long they've been waiting on this record. Cause like some artists, they've finished the record completely in 2019 of December, but then have been sitting on this for almost 2 years. How long have you been sitting on this record? How long have you been sitting on this release?
Oh my gosh. I think since like a year now.
Wow.
Where it was like, it felt completely done. And then I'm like, man, I could have like rewritten some songs or, but yeah, it's like, it's such a new world and such a different world where it's like, we could write a song and release it in 1 week if we wanted to. Like I've worked on records personally, like the MGK Deluxe record that we had finished. Like he pulled up to the studio one night and it's me and Travis there. And he's like, yo, the label needs a deluxe record because we need to like beat this one artist at #1 so we can have the #1 record. And we need to do the deluxe record and it needs to be turned in by midnight. And he's showing up at like 3 p.m. And I'm like, okay. And we quickly put together like 5 songs in like 5 hours where I mixed and mastered and we did new vocal comps and maybe there were drums being played on things. And we sent it to the label and the next morning, sure enough, it was on Spotify.
Wow, I absolutely love it.
So just to see that, I'm like, man, we should just be making records and just kind of just releasing it like all the time. I just want to be in a place where I'm always releasing music. So that's why I like collabing with different artists. Sometimes like with being in a band and being on a label, you just do that 1 to 2 year record cycle.
Yeah, and speaking of releases, can the fans expect any more singles to be dropped for the record?
I think so. We've got one song called Unbreakable, which is kind of a new flavor for the band. I think it's super cool though. It's got like, it's kind of like a shuffle, big drum groove. So I think that one's coming out and I'm not sure what else is rolling out. And I know we have like 3 more music videos lined up to be released soon.
All right. Now, speaking of like while we're discussing songs and kind of the track list, what I love is 4 of the records have had title tracks, and this one also has a title track. And now I'm dying to know what goes into, okay, this is going to be the title of the record. This song is what captures the vibe of the record the best.
Yeah, that's always such a tricky thing with our band. I like records sometimes that just have album titles that don't relate to any of the songs, but Craig kind of likes to use title songs, and sometimes there's just a song that sticks out that has a particular emotion or feeling that you're like, or it's just like, that's a really cool title, let's just name the album that. And that was kind of like, out of all the songs, I think Chemical Warfare, I think Gravity was one that floated around for a second. Invincible was another one that we were thinking of. And then Lightning Strike, I think, actually, as well, which would have changed the whole scope. But I think Chemical Warfare, as soon as like we kind of like mentioned that, it just felt right.
And especially like the way it coincides, like obviously with the album cover and the vibe of the album, it really does feel like cohesive, you know?
Yeah, exactly.
So another question that I wanted to ask, specifically in the songwriting process, as a guitarist, it can be really tricky to know like what key a song is in, how to even begin that sort of like writing process. When you start writing, what is the first thing you do on the guitar to kind of noodle around with a song?
Jeez, I'm probably actually like, for a guitarist, I'm probably not writing with my guitar most of the time. I'll probably hum something in my head and like hum it out loud, and just hear where I could be like, oh my god, this would be a sick vocal, and then I'll write a riff around that, and then kind of reverse engineer the guitars where it's, or the song, where it's like we'll work it backwards. Like I have a really cool chorus idea, and I'll track it in Pro Tools, and it'll probably sound like garbage, like one guitar, one vocal, and then we'll kind of like go backwards. And I'll be like, okay, cool, this will be a cool verse idea, and then depending on what style of song we want to make it, if we want to make it a heavier song, then I'll write like a sick riff to go with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of how Invincible worked. I had like a really basic riff, and then after everyone like kind of went home for the night, I just stayed in the studio and just worked out the riff till like it was exactly what I heard in my head, and that's how Invincible came together. That's kind of how we do it. And then for keys, like a lot of the time I will start tracks without the singer, and I just kind of go through their Spotify and I see where their voice kind of sits the best, and I'll write a song in that key.
Interesting stuff. So we've already talked about your previous collaborations with Travis Barker, but do you guys have any projects or collaborations planned for the future?
For Escape the Fate,
You, Escape the Fate, anything, collabs, projects, stuff like that coming up?
I think just working on the MGK record. There's this artist PPG Casper I've been involved with, an artist called Poor Stacy that I have a song with Travis on, and then we have, who else? Just pretty much all of his artists that he's signing, and then eventually Blink-182, of course.
Now, with this Blink-182, is it going to, are you a producer credit, or is it going to be like a songwriting feature on it?
I'm not sure. We'll just have to see how it kind of plays out. Hopefully a song or two. I did a song with them last year where I played the guitars on and kind of like engineered and mixed it. So we'll just see where it falls into place. But you know, for now I'll be the guy recording everything and just facilitating the place, making sure everything sounds really good.
I love it. I love it. Now, you might not be at liberty to say, but I'm definitely curious to know, is the new MGK record going to be pop punk like this last one was, or is he going to go back to his rap direction?
I can say this record will not have any rap on it.
All right. I know a lot of the pop punk fans and Escape the Fate fans are super excited to hear what's in store for that.
Yeah, I mean, like with Tickets, I mean, he didn't rap on it, and I remember hearing conversations with Travis, and he was just like, like if you're gonna go into this genre, you have to dive in like 100%, which is like, and Kells didn't even want to really rap on it either. And I think it's just to keep it authentic, you know. If you just threw one trap song or one rap song in it, just would like take away from being a pop punk record.
Yeah, it would feel less like a genuine cohesive piece and more like a cash grab. So by going
Exactly, like
yeah.
you know, kind of just abusing the genre for that. But no, he fell in fully. He's a full on rock artist. And then this new record, I guess, is just an extension. It's just like even more mature sounds. And then as far as like sonically goes, it's just getting a little more experimental as well. And, you know, I'm able to take some more liberties too, as being a part of the project for a longer time. So
Tough.
it's gonna be cool.
Yeah, we're super excited. So now I got two
Sick.
more questions for you. One of them kind of overarching. What do you want fans to take away from this brand new Escape the Fate record, Chemical Warfare, out on April 16th? What is like one thing you want the fan base that's been with you for so long to really kind of stay with them after this record's done?
Man, I would just love to see them, like, you know, their favorite band like is evolving and still growing. It's just not like stuck and is like not going to be like one of those tired bands that just releases albums that they don't care about. And like sometimes you see that where it seems like bands just get lazy after a while, but we go fully in on our records and every song means so much, and we put everything in, and we wouldn't release songs if they weren't like perfect in the way we saw them to be. So, and I hope they get some like cool messages and they can relate to the lyrics on the record. There's so many different topics. Each song has its own topic where it's like, you know, being in an abusive relationship and kind of like breaking free out of that, or else, you know, just those feelings of like being brokenhearted and just knowing that you're not alone in those sort of things. So
Yeah, well, again, Chemical Warfare. I know Catherine and I are both very, very big Escape the Fate fans. We are so excited to hear this
sick
record. So we cannot wait. I know there's tons of people out there that feel the same way.
Yeah.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
And
Thank you.
we've got one more question. We've heard you're a bit of a My Chemical Romance fan, and we are both massive fans as well. We were wondering, what is your favorite MCR album?
Oh my gosh.
It's tough. It's tough.
That's so hard because like Black Parade is just such a perfect album. But then I feel like to be an OG fan, it's like, I guess like Three Cheers for Sweet Revenge is one of my favorites too, because it's that record, but like just a bit more raw. Like,
Yeah.
No,
I would have to just go ahead and say Black Parade just because it's such an epic record though.
Oh yes, I agree. My personal favorite is Black Parade just because of how classic it feels. But I know I get a lot of I get a lot of hate sometimes from like the MCR truest or whatever. But it all the records are
right.
At the end of the day.
I guess I'm an MCR truest, and I'm a Three Cheers fan.
Yes, I think Howard Benson did that record.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, he did.
that's phenomenal.
Mr. Yeah, he did. Which yeah, Three Cheers all the way as well.
Awesome. I love it. I love it. So now, thank you so much again for talking with us today. Again, Chemical Warfare, April 16th. We're super, super excited. It's available everywhere we're streaming. You can stream music, buy music. All the fans should definitely check it out.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate it.